The national death toll from the virus has risen sharply, in part because of how victims are counted. That number is now up to around 31,000. That includes more than 4,000 New Yorkers who were never tested but did show symptoms. Meanwhile, some Americans, including these protesters in Lansing, Michigan, are losing patience with social distancing. In New York, the rules are actually getting stricter. Our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, is in New York City. David, what exactly is changing?
We have to wear masks now, Anthony, especially when you walk into food marts like the one behind me. The governor's order will say if you cannot maintain a social distance, you are required to wear a mask. And other cities are doing this, like Los Angeles. Speaking of LA, the mayor actually said that he could ban, it is likely he will ban all large gatherings such as concerts and sporting events through 2021. Back here in New York, the governor is saying, look, the latest tool I have to control the spread of the virus is the masks, but the tool the governor needs even more than that, and you're going to hear it again, widespread testing.
We cannot do it without federal support.
Governor Andrew Cuomo insists that large-scale testing in a state the size of New York is not possible without the help of Washington.
We've only done 500,000 tests. You're talking about a state with 19 million people.
But there is outrage bubbling elsewhere in the country over stay-at-home orders.
This shutdown has become one of total insanity.
That's the mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman, pointing out that Nevada's death toll has been less than half of 1% of the population. She's demanding an end to the state's lockdown.
It makes no sense. For heaven's sakes, for being closed is killing us already.
Protests in Michigan over the governor's strict isolation orders clogged streets on Wednesday. The governor says she understands people are angry.
I just urge you, don't put yourself at risk. And don't put others at risk either.
Meanwhile, Smithfield Foods in South Dakota is reportedly the biggest COVID-19 hotspot in the country, with 644 cases coming from a now closed pork processing plant. The U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, tweeted Wednesday that he is doing everything he can to get the plant back open and minimize disruptions to the nation's food supply. In Colorado, 21-year-old Cody Lister is the youngest person to die from coronavirus in the state.
He got up one morning and he had to go to school. He had to go to Grand Junction. Grand Junction is 4 hours from where we are. And that is when we actually called for the ambulance.
Within 1 hour of arriving at the hospital, he was on a ventilator, and 8 days later, he was gone. In Florida, Gerald and Arlene Polinsky died the way they lived, together. Both infected with the disease, they wound up at the same hospital. Their son-in-law, David, wrote on Facebook, in a scene befitting a story tale ending, as his body was being moved out of the room, the nurses told us that she noticed, and she said, "Together, Jerry." And then she was gone.
The Polinskys were married for 64 years. Back in Colorado where Cody died, we talk about the randomness of this virus. His father had coronavirus, his mother had the symptoms, and she's a diabetic. Both of them recovered without ever needing to go to the hospital. Yet Cody died at 21 years old. Tony?
David, you can understand people's frustrations economically, but at the same time, as you remind us, there is a major health threat here as well. David, thank you very much.